Welcome to the Stochastic MLB DFS Strategy Show. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. I'm here with Adam Scherer. You can find him on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And this show is sponsored by So Rare MLB. We'll talk about So Rare a little bit more later on. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. Adam, I already accidentally put it on screen a little bit too early. I was going to tease it a little bit, but you had a big night last night. You after getting second place on the night slate 2 nights ago, you took home first last night. How's it feel?
Good. Can breathe a little bit. So, yeah, still a long way to go. I've been pretty open that the last 6-7 months have been brutal, but nice to win. Obviously 20K and 7,500 night four is nice. Feels good. Can breathe a little bit. So looking forward to getting back at it today.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty fun to get second and then first and second, as we talked about yesterday. A little bit frustrating always, but getting first, you can't do any better than first. So always fun to see. We also had big night for Greg last night. Let's see if I can find that one. Yeah, Greg just played in the single entry streets. He crushed everything, got first in the $121. I know that's kind of his bread and butter there for $5,000, and looks like he had a big night across the board using the Sims tool. Very cool to see success early on. A lot of people having success with the Sims tool. We're going to take a look at that as well. So looking at, this is the main slate yesterday, and man, Z Roth has been absolutely crushing it in terms of the Sims. I think that he's been near the top in some of the main lineups as well. Tilapia looks like he had a good night here. I guess this is the Sim ROI. I'm not looking at the right thing here. We're looking at just the top lineups in terms of Sim ROI. Tilapia 69 has been doing quite well. Z-Roth as well. But let's take a look at the actual ROI as well. What am I missing here? I feel like I'm missing a column here. Maybe
there used to be like a actual.
Yeah. Right. That's not. It should be there, right?
I don't have it either.
Okay.
And I have every column checked, so I'm
all right. Well, apparently we're gonna have to get that corrected, because that should be there. We can't look at actual ROI, unfortunately. Can we look at user actual ROI? All right. Well, there goes my plan of looking at the actual top lineups here. But we'll do that another day. Should be back. I don't know what happened. Somebody must have clicked a button incorrectly or something. But check it out if you haven't already. There's just an issue in the post-contest simulator. We do have the pre-contest simulator. No bugs there. It's been working fantastically for people. Really fun to see people having success early on. And of course, the link for the Sims tool is in the description of this video. I'll have to see if I have a link for it that I can post as well. I grabbed the wrong document here. 1 second. All right. Yep. I've got the Sims tool here. I'm going to post the link into chat. Again, you can get access to it for as little as $60 a week. So that is the cheapest way to get in. If you just want to check it out, it's $60 a week for the Sims tool. It's $180 a month if you want to commit a little bit more, save a little bit of money over the long haul. Check it out if you haven't already. It is fantastic tool. And I know it sounds expensive. We had both Blender last week told me that he thinks that we're charging too little for it. I heard Brick75 say it on the Lowe's chat. $180 seems like a lot. It's too little for what the tool is. Should be more expensive. Fun to hear hear pros talking about how good the tool is, who have they have nothing to gain from this.
Yeah, I'll say I obviously it's more bias coming from me, but when I knew we were building this and putting it out, I thought we were launching it for a lot more than we did.
Yeah, I kind of had assumed as well, but yeah, $180 a month, fantastic deal if you are a high volume player. Adam, I'm not even going to jump into the main slate. I know that if we start doing that, people are going to say, why aren't you talking about the early slate? So let's do the early slate really quick here. We do have your Orioles on the earlier slate with Yusei Kikuchi on the mound for the Blue Jays, Tyler Wells for the Orioles. What's your level of interest in these two pitchers on the 3-gamer?
Yeah, so 8,900 for Wells. I just finished crunching lineups for it. Haven't figured out yet what lineups I'm playing, but Wells showing up around 27% of the time in the lineups I crunched. Kikuchi showing up around 36%. So, yeah, I mean, decent options, 3-game slate. Don't love the matchup for either guy. Wells is a good pitcher and has been very solid for Baltimore this year. 26.5% strikeout percentage, not walking a lot of guys, 4.08 xFIP, but obviously a tough matchup here against Toronto. Tough team to strike out. A lot of good hitters in this lineup. Kikuchi on the other side at 7,800. He gets some strikeouts. He's not very good outside of that. 22.7% K percentage this year, 4.35 xFIP, like 2.5 home runs per 9 innings. One thing that does help him here is that this park kills right-handed power. So he does have a little bit more wiggle room as far as getting hit hard, giving up deep fly balls, but them not necessarily becoming home runs. The Orioles are always a team that when they're at home, I heavily prefer when they're facing right-handed pitching as opposed to left-handed pitching. So on a 3-gamer, still certainly interested in Kikuchi, but also he's not very good.
Okay. I did see a question from Chunk the Deuce asking, who did you stack in your winning lineup? Who was in the winning lineup? Saw it in your tweet.
It was 5-man Tampa stack, 2-man San Diego, Jake Berger one-off. So the big thing was Tatis was one of the 2 San Diego pieces with 38 DraftKings points, and then Jake Berger at 4% and hit 2 home runs and had 30 DraftKings points.
Oh yeah, one of those was late too. Did you get into the lead pretty late in the game? Wasn't that like
yeah? So it was actually I was top 10, but Tampa was done, so like I was blocked, and it was like, well, unless Berger does anything, I can't really advance, and I wasn't even watching. And then I just happened to see the alert on Twitter that Berger had hit his 2nd home run of the game, and I was like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure that puts me in first. So then I turned, and it actually apparently the home run hit the foul pole, so ran good on that one.
Yep.
So then I turned the game on, and I knew that basically I just needed the game to like end quietly, but specifically I needed like Mookie to chill, and Mookie just absolutely launches one to left field. Like it's basically as soon as I turned the game on, and I thought it was gone. The announcers thought it was gone, and Benintendi's just like standing on the warning track, acting like it's a routine fly ball. And I'm like, I really hope he's not messing around. And the ball just died. He caught it like a foot in front of the wall. So yeah, actually, it felt good to be on the right side of all the dumb stuff that happens late in games for once.
Right. For MLB especially. Yeah, that's always fun. I had the opposite. I did end up making money, but I was like for a good chunk, like pretty late in the night, I was in top 10 in both the 20 max and maybe not top 10, but I was towards the top of the main contest as well for a good portion of the night, and then just died throughout the night, which was expected. It was, I didn't have many player innings remaining, but ended up 2.5xing my money or something, and I just used the lineup generator, so it was cool to see the lineup generator having some success. Would have been cooler if I had gone the way you did, where it went up at the end of the night instead of just falling back into oblivion, but I'll take winning money on a given night any day.
It's funny how stuff works out too. Like I actually was underweight on Tampa stacks in that tournament, and won with one. I know when Josh had his 50K win the other day, it was a Minnesota stack, and he had like 3 total.
Right.
But then you get the other slates where it's like you get the team right, and you just end up getting like 12th, 18th, 21st, 42nd, like not getting anywhere close to the top. So it's so funny how stuff works out.
I mean, like RBX is probably the best example of that, where he had 150 set in golf. He had there was a golfer that he had in just one lineup. Like it was a popular golfer that he like basically full fade, except where he had him in one lineup and then won a milli with that lineup, of course. So yeah, it's funny how that works out sometimes. All right, bats in this Toronto-Baltimore game. What's your level of interest?
Yeah, I mean, definitely interested. Just for one, it's a 3-game slate. Toronto, not a good matchup, but plenty of good hitters. Orioles, better matchup. Not as good of hitters. I do think I prefer the Orioles side, 4.7 implied run total. Hayes is 3K on FanDuel. I was about to say that's a really cheap price tag. 3,900 on DraftKings. Really like that with him leading off. Rutschman obviously going to be one of your best catching options. If you can't afford him, you do get James McCann. And not really much pinch hit risk there for McCann, because if they pinch hit for him and then move Adley to catcher, they lose their DH. So it's maybe in the very late innings they do it, but it's not like they can do it in the middle of the game. So he's going to look good as a value option. You get Urias bumped up. So pretty cheap Oriole stack, all things considered.
Okay. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
I guess Kikuchi 1, Wells 2, Orioles 3, Toronto 4, but not super confident in that.
Okay.
I'll have a better answer in a minute or a little bit later once I figure out what lineups I'm playing.
Okay. Well, second game on this early slate, we have Tampa at Oakland. Taj Bradley on the mound for the Rays. Paul Blackburn for the future Las Vegas club. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Bradley looks like the best pitcher on the slate. He's been very, very good so far in his rookie year. He's 9K. Good matchup against Oakland in Oakland. They strike out a lot. They're not very good at hitting. Bradley has nearly a 32% strikeout percentage, 3.11 xFIP so far. He was a highly rated prospect, and it has immediately translated to success in the majors. So he looks really good. On the other side, Blackburn going up against Tampa. Tough spot, obviously. Blackburn, not a great strikeout pitcher. when he's on, he does have good command. He can keep the ball on the ground, limit hard contact. He can be a really frustrating pitcher to take hitters against because he seems like somebody that like you should just be able to walk out there and hit really hard. But when he's on, he's pretty tough to hit. So still doesn't really translate to a lot of DFS success though.
Okay. Any interest in playing the A's against Bradley, or are you playing some Tampa here?
I mean, as far as the A's go, it's just your typical, it's a 3-game slate. So sure, but they're at the bottom of the list as far as teams I want to play. Tampa Bay looks pretty good. Like I said, the park sucks. Blackburn's actually not terrible, but you still have a 5.3 implied run total. You have a weak Oakland bullpen behind Blackburn as well. So still certainly interested in getting to Tampa bats.
All right. And how would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Bradley, Tampa, Blackburn, Oakland, or Oakland, Blackburn.
Okay. Final game of this early slate, Philadelphia at Arizona. We've got Aaron Nola on the mound for the Phillies, Ryan Nelson for the Diamondbacks. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Nola's showing up second most in the crunch that I ran behind Bradley. It's not a great matchup against the Diamondbacks. They ran out a pretty watered down lineup last night. We got a really good start out of Ranger Suarez, who was in my winning lineup. But I'm assuming Carroll's going to be back in the lineup today. Marte's going to be back in the lineup. So it's a tough spot for Nola. But at 10-2, I mean, he's in terms of track record, he is the best pitcher on the slate. So far this season, he's the second best pitcher on the slate behind Bradley. So still fine getting there just because there's limited options. As far as Nelson goes at 5,300, I think I would rather get to him than Blackburn if you have to pay all the way down. Not really a ringing endorsement, but he hasn't been very good. But he's a little bit cheaper than Blackburn. He does at least throw hard, so he has that going for him.
Okay. How about the bats in this game? What's your level of interest there?
Phillies are ahead of the Diamondbacks for me. Have to wait and see what that lineup's going to look like. Saw somebody in chat earlier ask if we think Real Muto is going to play the day game after a night game. I don't know. He's in every projected lineup that I've looked at. We haven't projected in, but who knows? If you get him resting, or you get something like Harper or something resting, obviously this lineup gets weaker. But assuming you're getting the lineups that are being projected, it's a healthy lineup, or it's a good lineup. Nelson again hasn't been very good overall this year, only striking out 14% hitters, 5.1 xFIP. Philadelphia rather showing up second most often for me in terms of 5-man stacks.
All right. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Nola, Phillies, Nelson, Diamondbacks.
All right. So we made it through the 3 games. Do you have 3 favorite stacks here?
Tampa, Toronto, Baltimore, probably.
Red Skittles asks, short leash concerns for Bradley?
Not particularly.
Okay. It's a 3-game slate. Do you have 3 favorite pitchers?
Bradley, Nola, I guess Kikuchi. But I think it's Bradley, Nola, and then you can make a reasonable case for any of the other 4.
Okay.
Wells is definitely the best pitcher of the remaining 4, but he's also the most expensive and has a tough matchup. Kikuchi is kind of the middle ground where he has better strikeout stuff than Blackburn and Nelson. Still not a great matchup, but not horrible. Blackburn's cheap in a tough matchup. Nelson is cheaper in a tough matchup.
Home run pick.
I'll go with, let me see. I know Wells has had some home run issues this year. I just want to double check who exactly he's been giving them up to. More so to righties, but I'll take Hayes.
All right, I'm going to go with Kyle Schwarber. Going back to that well. All right, that'll do it for the early slate. I don't think I saw any questions. Any other questions? I think that was a good synopsis of the early slate there. So we can move on to the night slate, the main slate, which is just 7 games today. We don't have to get through another 12 like we did yesterday. A little bit easier here. The first game on the main slate is Detroit at Minnesota. Matt Boyd on the mound for the Tigers. Sonny Gray for the Twins. What's your level of interest in these pitchers, Adam?
Very high in Gray. That shouldn't surprise anybody. You're facing the worst offense in baseball against right-handed pitching. They enter the game with a 77 WRC plus on their active roster, 24.5% strikeout percentage. Gray only 9,300 and coming in with a 25% strikeout percentage, 3.59 xFIP. He's been very good this year. It seems like he's been in a lot of tough matchups too, or at least at tough price points where it's difficult to get to him from a DFS standpoint, but that shouldn't really be the case today. He looks really, really good. I think he's a priority. Waiting for the top pitchers tool to reload. It's just giving me a blank screen, but I imagine he's pretty close to the top of it. Scrolling through other pitchers on the slate, there are some other good pitchers in good spots. So it's not like, he's on an island by himself, but certainly expect to get to plenty of Sonny Gray. We have him right now 4th in top 2 pitcher percentage at 20%, but it's essentially tied with Evaldi and Javier and only behind Ohtani. 38% ownership is the highest ownership projection on the slate.
You're relatively flat for the pitchers, but like not as flat as the past couple of days. We haven't had like any pitchers even at like 20% odds of being a top 2 pitcher. I think maybe I'm.
Yeah, I know Kershaw was highest yesterday, like 21.
Yeah, so good to see a few more pitchers up there today. All right, what is your level of interest in the bats in this Minnesota-Detroit game?
Certainly interested in the Minnesota side. I will say Boyd at 5,800 is underpriced, but he's underpriced in the sense that, like, again, he should be like 6,800 or something. He's not a great pitcher. He's not somebody I really want to go out of my way to get to, but if you do need to pay down, it's fine. He has a 22% strikeout percentage this year, 4.8 xFIP. Not very good, but has enough strikeout upside that he is underpriced here, but more interested in the Minnesota side. Not a ton of right-handed power here, but I do like Correa, Farmer, Jeffers, Lewis, cheap middle of the order that does have some upside. I think Gray is the best play from the game. I don't love the offenses, but the Minnesota side does look okay.
Steven says Buxton is back today. I didn't even know that. That's exciting.
I'll say he's not in the projected lineup I'm looking at, but
okay,
that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. All right. How would you rank the 4 sides of this game?
Gray 1, Twins 2, Boyd 3, Tigers 4.
Okay. Second game on the main slate, we have Colorado at Atlanta. Kyle Freeland on the mound for the Rockies. AJ Smith-Shawver for the Braves. What's your level of interest in these pitchers?
Oh, wait. I'm an idiot. I was clicking. I was trying to find the blurb on Buxton, and I was like, man, this is going to suck. I'm going to have to edit all my lineups for Buxton since he's not in the projected lineup, and then couldn't find them on DraftKings because it's not the early slate anymore.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so which game did you say? The Atlanta game?
Yeah, the Atlanta game. The pitchers in the Atlanta game.
Yeah, 2 cheap arms. Not interested in Freeland going up against Atlanta. Obviously, a really tough spot there. Somewhat interested in Smith-Shawver, 5,500. Good matchup against the Rockies. 15% ownership. He is a good pitching prospect. Projects to be decent enough for a $5,500 price tag here. So if you need to pay down, I think he's one of actually a couple viable options in that price range. Not particularly interested in getting to Freeland. We have him with the lowest top 2 pitcher percentage on the slate.
Okay. What about the bats in this game?
The Atlanta side looks good. 218 expected ISO to righties so far this year for Freeland, and obviously Atlanta's got a ton of right-handed power. He's been very good against lefties. If you're stacking Atlanta, you can still get to Olsen because he's almost certainly going to be lower owned than a lot of the other guys. But Acuna, Murphy in particular look fantastic. Albies and Riley look good. Ozuna's pretty cheap. Kevin Pillar should be in the lineup at near minimum salary as a way to offset some of the guys that you're paying up for. So Braves bats look really, really good here. On the other side, there's some appeal to going to Colorado. They're a really bad offense, but they are cheap, and you are getting a 20-year-old pitcher making, his second major league appearance, maybe third. So there is some upside there, getting to guys like Ryan McMahon, Nolan Jones, but overall not a particularly appealing team because they are very bad. So the Atlanta side looks a lot better.
Any concerns about the weather here?
Hadn't looked. I was actually in the process of pulling that up. Yes, but probably as of now, I'd be playing it, but just gonna have to keep an eye on it. It's just get used to this in Atlanta. It's summer's coming. You're just gonna it's gonna be a pretty standard. Like Atlanta looks good unless there's a thunderstorm over the stadium, then it looks bad.
Right. All right. So keep an eye on it, I think is the only advice there. All right. Did you rank the 4 sides already?
I did not, but Atlanta, Smith-Shawver, Colorado, Freeland.
Okay. I am going to, we made it through the first 2 games of the main slate. Perfect time to look at our sponsor, So Rare. Talk about So Rare a little bit. I believe I have, I don't know if you can see it, my So Rare pulled up. Not that important that you can see it, to be honest, because It's just my lineups right now. But check out SoRare if you haven't already. The next slate for SoRare is starting tomorrow. The slates run Monday through Thursday and then Friday through Sunday. So now is the perfect time to sign up, get in before the slate starts tomorrow. Start making your team, because when you sign up, you get the choice of several different common cards, which you can then enter into contests, and they're free. You get the common cards for free, but you can enter them into contests where you can win real prizes. It's fun to track. It's fun to win, obviously, on the rare occasions that I win. I have enjoyed it. Check it out. I just put the link into chat if you want to check out SoRare. My lineup for this week looking okay. Once again, I'm 2 points away from the closest reward after just missing the past two. All of my pitchers have gone now. Three of the starters that I had here are starting pitchers who kind of largely underwhelmed. So I'm relying on Castellanos, Harper, Schwarber having big games today, and then Ryan McMahon continuing to surge here. So hopefully I can get into the money on this final day, but I'm not sure I'm going to make it. Again, this over here on the far right, this is my common lineup, which I made the mistake of not paying attention to. I didn't consider the fact that after you get those cards, you're like, to some extent, stuck with them, whatever cards you choose. Not totally stuck with them, because you can swap out your cards, and you can win new cards in the contest, etc. with these common cards. But it's a lot harder to acquire common cards than it is the limited cards. So when you do sign up, make sure that you pay a little bit of attention. Try to get cards that you think you're actually going to want to play going forward. But again, a lot of fun. Check out SoRare MLB if you haven't already. Use the link that I just put into chat. All right, we should move on to the next game on the slate, which is Pittsburgh at Chicago. Johan Oviedo on the mound for the Pirates. Marcus Stroman for the Cubs. What's your level of interest in these pitchers, Adam?
So Stroman's actually been well, he's always solid, so I shouldn't say it like that. But his strikeout stuff's been better this year than normal, especially against right-handed hitters. You are likely to get a predominantly left-handed lineup for the Pirates, but at 8,700, Stroman does still look okay. 3.1 to 3.2 implied run total here. He's getting 31% ownership. It's a price point where you do have some other options, but they're not super appealing. Like Sonny Gray is 600 more. He's a great play. Dylan Cease is good, but also facing the Dodgers for 500 less. And then there's nobody else between 8K and 9K. So it's just sort of an island range for Stroman, and that's why he's getting 31% ownership. But also, good pitcher. It's not like he's bad and getting all this ownership. For the season overall, 21.7% K percentage, 3.6 xFIP. As far as splits go, he's only striking out 18.9% of lefties compared to 25% of righties, but he still held lefties to a 106 expected ISO, 325 expected WOBA, righties 111 expected ISO, 279 expected WOBA. Looks like the wind is blowing in as well, which is why we only have a 7-run total in this game. So happy to get to Stroman. Oviedo, more difficult to get to, I think. The Cubs, are a little bit scarier offense. Oviedo is pulling 12% ownership at 7,200. He is sort of in a similar situation to Stroman, where there's not much around him in terms of salary, and the pitchers around him do have relatively tough matchups as well. Logan Allen's facing the Padres. Mackenzie Gore is facing the Astros. So if you're just in that price range, I can see getting this Oviedo, but I think it's more likely that if I can't get two of the 8K plus pitchers, I probably just go down to one of Smith Shawver or Grove and try and increase hitter upside.
Okay. Makes sense. So unlikely to get there that much. How about the bats in this game?
Not a ton. Both teams have sub 4 implied run totals. Wind blowing in. Doesn't look like good hitting conditions. Pretty tough to one either side.
Okay. How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Stroman, Oviedo, Cubs, Pirates.
JB says he ran 7 lineups this week for SoRare. I don't even know how to do that. Like, are there even 7? Every contest, by the way, is single entry on SoRare, so you had to find 7 different contests. Maybe did you play the rare contest, JB, or anything beyond limited? Because I didn't realize that there are 7 contests you can join in just limited and common. Cool to see that. Oh, and by the way, Greg and I will be doing a SoRare show 50 minutes from now. We're going to be doing a SoRare live show. So if you guys want to hear a little bit more about SoRare, look at the slate 4 that's starting tomorrow. Check out our live show that's going to be in 50 minutes. Okay, JB did have 1 rare contest, 4 limited, and 2 common. Yeah, that's getting after it. Good for you. All right, next game up here, we have Los Angeles at Texas. Shohei Ohtani on the mound for the Angels. Nathan Eovaldi for the Rangers. What's your level of interest in these pitchers, Adam?
Pretty high. I mean, not the best matchups, but two of the most talented pitchers on the slate. Ohtani, 33.3% strikeout percentage is the highest on the slate, 3.48 xFIP. Evaldi, 25% strikeout percentage, 3.37 xFIP. Consistently works deep into games, so you get some value that way as well. They're both expensive, 10-7 to Ohtani, 10-8 to Evaldi. The Rangers are minus 126 favorites, so 4.1 implied run total for the Angels, about 4.4 for the Rangers. In terms of ownership, Ohtani getting 25%, Evaldi getting 18%. Makes sense to me. They're expensive. They're at price points where it's very difficult to say, like, I would want either of those guys more often than Sonny Gray in a great matchup and $1,400 to $1,500 less. But still, obviously, very, very high ceilings there. Tough matchup for Ohtani in particular, with the Rangers being one of the best offenses in baseball, but he's also one of the best pitchers in baseball. So I like them both. I think they're both very good plays. They fall somewhere behind Gray for me in terms of top plays on the slate.
Okay. How about you playing any bats against these pitchers?
Pretty tough sell there. If you can always make the case where Texas is just a really good offense, but there's enough games on this slate. There's enough weak pitching. I think it's going to be tough to get to much against Ohtani or against Evaldi. And, on the Angels side too, you also run into the problem of not only is Evaldi very good, but you can't use the best hitter on the team in your stacks.
Yeah, good point. All right. How would you rank the four sides of the game?
Evaldi, Ohtani, Texas, Angels.
Okay.
If you wanted to flip Evaldi and Ohtani, no issues there at all.
Okay. Close there at the top. All right, we only have 3 games left to get through. We're making our way through this. The next game up, we have Washington at Houston. Mackenzie Gore on the mound for the Nationals. Christian Javier for the Astros. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
Gore is one of the pitchers I mentioned when we talked about Oviedo being, one of the only guys between 7 and 8K. He's pulling 6% ownership, about a 13.5% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. He does have good strikeout stuff. He's struck out 28% of hitters. That's actually second highest on the slate behind Ohtani. 3.63 xFIP. The combination of talent and inexpensive salary and low ownership is pretty appealing, but the matchup does suck. Houston, not an easy team to strike out. A lot of good right-handed hitters. Very, very dangerous, boom or bust spot. Kind of similar to like we saw yesterday with Reed Detmers going up against the Rangers, where, you can see how things could go well. You have a good pitcher, but it's also extremely risky, tough matchup. So in tournaments here and there, I think it's fine, but nothing I'd be going out of my way to get to. Javier is the more appealing of the two. 20% chance of being a top 2 pitcher, 16.5% projected ownership at 10-2. Not a good strikeout matchup, but overall a pretty solid pitcher. 24.5% K percentage, 4.37 xFIP. So again, you're probably overpaying a little bit, or you are overpaying a bit compared to like Sonny Gray's price. And then also he probably shouldn't be that close in salary to Ohtani and Evaldi, but it is one of the worst offenses in baseball in terms of production. And Javier is a solid enough strikeout pitcher that I have some interest.
Okay. What about the bats in this game?
Houston looks somewhat interesting. I do have respect for Gore as a pitcher, and you do have a little bit of a watered down Houston lineup, or a really watered down Houston lineup with Yordan Alvarez being out. But 163 expected ISO to righties, 28% strikeout percentage for Gore this year, 292 expected WOBA. Again, you're not expecting him to pitch poorly, but you do still have a pretty cheap Mauricio Dubon, Altuve, Bregman, Tucker from the left side, and Gore has given up power to lefties. Abreu seems to have gotten over whatever was bothering him. He was not hitting for any power early in the year. He has started hitting like Jose Abreu normally hits recently. So don't know if he had some sort of nagging injury or what the deal is, but he's only 3,100. Jeremy Pena should be back in the lineup. He's 4,500. So some interest in Houston, not much in the Nats.
How would you rank the 4 sides of the game?
Javier, Gore, Houston. Javier, Houston, Gore, Nats. I think could go Javier, Gore, Houston, Nats. I think Javier's first. I think the Nats are last.
Okay. Cleveland at San Diego. Logan Allen on the mound for the Guardians. Ryan Weathers for the Pods. Any interest in these pitchers, Adam?
I think that Allen's going a little bit overlooked here. He's another pitcher right around 7K that is not really getting ownership. But if you look at the top 2 pitchers tool, he's actually 6th in top 2 pitcher percentage at 16%. He's only 6,900. He's only getting 8% ownership compared to the, Oviedo's getting 12% for a little bit more. So again, mostly I don't think you're getting to this price range a lot, but Allen has actually been good in his rookie year. just shy of a 23% strikeout percentage, 3.89 xFIP. Now, obviously, it's a dangerous matchup against the Padres. Their active roster since the start of last year has a 115 WRC plus and only a 20% strikeout percentage against left-handed pitching. So that's why you're not getting a lot of ownership coming in there. But he is similar to Gore, not the same level of strikeout stuff, but also not as expensive. Similar in the sense that like he is a good pitcher in this case in a good pitcher's park in a tough matchup at low ownership. Not a bad contrarian option, but probably also not somebody you're building around.
Okay. What's your level of interest in the bats here?
Not that high. Really good pitcher's park. I think you get to the Padres first. It is a more difficult matchup for them than it is for Cleveland, but they also just have a much more dangerous offense. Obviously, Fernando Tatis is always a good play. Machado is always a good play. Bogarts, Sanchez is a high upside catching option, probably batting in the middle of the order. You potentially have Nelson Cruz in there at close to min salary against the lefty. That's going to look pretty good. So the Padres look decent. I think it's harder to get to the Guardians, but Jose Ramirez individually is going to look really good. He's only $4,500 going up against Weathers. Ahmed Rosario is only $3,200. That stands out as a really cheap price tag as well. So I think that those two in particular look good, and that does maybe pull up how often you get to Cleveland stacks, just because you're going to get two really strong value plays there between Ramirez and Rosario. But it's a pretty big drop off between them and anything else that I want from Cleveland.
Okay. How would you rank the four sides of the game?
Padres, Allen, Guardians, Weathers. But I think I like Ramirez and Rosario individually more than I like Allen.
Okay. I think that's good enough explanation there. All right. Well, we have one game left. I think it's a good time to just take a look briefly at BetPro. I just put the link into chat where you can sign up for BetPro if you are interested. Let me throw it onto the screen here. Take a look at what BetPro looks like for you. So you're going to see across all the sportsbooks, you're going to see the best bets on the board. So the bets that have, you can sort by win percentage, just the bets that are likeliest to actually win. You can sort by the EV, which is, I think our standard approach is just sorting by EV here, seeing which bets over the long haul you would expect to make you the most money. So even if they sometimes have, lower than 50% win odds, when you factor in the line, it can be, or the what's the word here that I'm looking for? The VIG, I guess. When you factor in the VIG, I don't know if that's even the right word. I'm new to this sports betting thing, but when you factor things in, it is a plus EV bet. Check out BetPro if you haven't already. Again, you can see across all sports books. That's what we're looking at right now. You can also filter by individual sports books if you don't have access to all of them. So you can just see like which are the best bets on the sports book that I'm playing on, and you can of course shop across sportsbooks, see which have the best lines for different props. So check out BetPro if you haven't already. And again, Adam, you do a BetPro video every day still, or 5 days a week?
Yeah, Monday through Friday.
So if you just want to quickly see some of the best bets that Adam likes, you can use BetPro yourself, but also check out Adam's video. He'll go over some of his favorite picks for the day as well. Check it out again if you have not already. All right, let me get back to the final game of the slate, Adam, which is Chicago at Los Angeles. Dylan Cease on the mound for the White Sox. Michael Grove for the Dodgers. Any interest in these pitchers?
Yeah, Grove's getting some ownership because he's only 5,200, 3.9 implied run total for the White Sox. Not a particularly great offense. Obviously they came through last night against Kershaw, but overall this year, just an 88 WRC plus, 22.7% K percentage against righties on their active roster. Grove's only 5,200, 22% strikeout percentage, 4.3 xFIP so far this year. Not a great pitcher, but again, just better than $5,200, similar to what we were saying about Smith Shawver earlier. So if you have to pay down, I do think one of those two is where you go first. He's getting 13% ownership, 10.5% chance of being a top two pitcher. On the other side, Cease is a somewhat interesting contrarian play in tournaments. It's going to be tough to get to him, over some of these other pitchers that just project better. But you have Marcus Stroman getting 5 times the ownership for $500 more. I don't think it's crazy to move some of that to Dylan Cease. He has had some issues this year, 4.3 xFIP, 10.5% strikeout percentage, or that would be really bad, 10.5% walk percentage, 25% strikeout percentage, which is down a bit from where you normally see him. But he is still a talented pitcher. You are getting a little bit of a watered down Dodgers team, assuming Muncy doesn't play. Will Smith should be back today. But from an upside standpoint, at 6% ownership on a 7-gamer at 8,200, I think Cease is somewhat interesting, but he's still somebody where more often than not, assuming I have relatively low owned lineups in terms of stacks or mini stacks or whatever, I'm going to just end up getting to more of Stroman and Gray.
Okay. All right. So last night you had that big Are you going back to Jake Berger here? What's your level of interest in these bats?
I mean, Jake Berger can hit, but not particularly interested in the White Sox overall. More interested in the Dodgers. It is a relatively tough matchup against Cease, but they are still the Dodgers. They are currently not on the top golfers tool, so that doesn't help. I expected they'll be a little bit lower owned than some of the other spots. Yeah, right now they're second in top stack percentage, tied with Minnesota. They're pulling about 10% ownership. The problem, though, is that they are expensive. So if you sort by stack score, they actually fall down towards the middle of the pack, actually bottom half in stack score because they are so expensive, and pretty modest run total here against Cease. So not going to fault anyone if they get to the Dodgers, but I think they're pretty tough to get to.
I know you said it earlier, but was Jake Berger a one-off, or did you have like a White Sox stack there?
No, it was a Berger one-off.
Okay, nice. All right, how would you rank the 4 sides of this Dodgers game?
Grove, either Cease or the Dodgers, and then the White Sox. Grove simply because of the salary.
What golfers are you cheering for today?
Mito, Fowler. Well, so Mito's my highest owned guy in the full contest. Fowler second. In Showdown, I think I have like Cam Young first. I don't know. I have totally different exposures for Showdown.
Okay. I have a ton of Jason Day, who last I checked is off to a horrific start. So that's not love. That's not great. And then I have a ton of Patrick Cantlay, who let me down on the one time I had a real sweat in golf. I needed, like, Cantlay was like favored to win halfway through Sunday and then just fell apart. So I hate playing him, but I'm playing him again.
Nice. Yeah. So Jason Day, I have 18% in the full tournament. He's like 6% owned, so pretty big stand there. And I actually have 40% on Showdown. So not enjoying him.
I think I have like 40% on the main of Jason Day. So not a great start for me. All right. Made it through all the games, Adam. 3 favorite stacks on this main slate.
Atlanta. This is a tough one. I'll go Atlanta, Minnesota, and the third one's tough. I guess Houston.
I think those are the 3 of the teams I was getting to the most of when I did my lineup generator video already this morning. Those are definitely 3 of the teams that I was getting to a good amount, which we don't have. I don't have a read to do for lineup generator. We're not going to actually look at it today. I've been doing a daily video on lineup generator. If you guys are interested in checking that out, I just put the link into chat. Yeah, Redscale says Neil casually 7x the field on Jason Day. Yeah, that was again, I don't know anything about PGA, so I used the Sims tool and I took what it gave me essentially, and it really liked Jason Day today. But again, lineup generator, just put the link in the chat if you're interested in checking it out. If you're you don't play enough volume or play enough money on a day-to-day basis to have interest in the Sims tool, the lineup generator kind of does a lot of the work for you. Just gives you it's already been, these lineups have been run through Sims and it's already just given you some of the good lineups. So check out lineup generator if you haven't already. Adam, on this slate, 3 favorite pitchers.
Gray, Stroman, one of Ohtani or Eovaldi.
I checked my home run pick yesterday to see if I was on a little streak, and mine did not hit. Do you know who you picked or if they had a home run yesterday?
I do not remember who I picked.
All right, I know that I had Vlad Guerrero.
Oh, I took Adam Duvall, and no, he didn't.
Okay, so
I don't think he even had a hit.
We're starting from fresh here. We're both on streaks of 0. Who are you taking for your home run pick today?
Acuna.
All right, number 1 on the board here, man. Oh, I can go with number 2, which is Joey Gallo. So yeah, give me Joey Gallo for my home run pick. 27% chance of hitting a home run. We have Mike Trout with the highest odds at 28%. We have Acuna at 24%. So not far off the top there with the Acuna pick. I don't think we had any other questions that I saw. Sports was taking Jose Abreu. All right. Seeing him heating up, going to jump in there.
Acuna homered twice yesterday. He won in each game.
Okay, so you're a box score watcher, game log.
No, I was replying to Stephen Leibowitz that said he hit a home run yesterday.
Oh, okay. So you're counting on him hitting 3 in 2 days at least. All right, Adam. What else do you have going on today? Any final words here?
So we can walk through early slate exposures if people want to.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, so
time.
Taj Bradley is my highest owned pitcher, which I expected. Kikuchi and Nola, second and third, expected that. Blackburn's fourth, Wells, and then Nelson. So yeah, no real surprises there. Tampa Bay is my highest owned stack. It looks like they're my highest owned 5-man. Phillies are my highest owned 4-man, followed by Tampa. Baltimore, Toronto, second or third, fourth. So yeah, no real surprises there. Highest owned hitter, awesome. Highest owned hitter is JT Realmuto, who may not even end up playing.
Sure.
But yeah, nothing really surprising, nothing really different than we had talked about, which makes me feel good. I hate when I load my stuff and it's just like, oh, you're jamming the A's.
Right. This team you didn't want any when you were talking about it. Yeah, that's I don't like that either. I don't understand what you're saying, Steven. I just the video on the Blast Center. Yeah, SGT. I like that Olsen pick. Maybe SGT. Maybe I'll see you in the So Rare streets. Often SGT. I know is super into the So Rare stuff. Again, guys, if you have not liked the video, please do so. Helps us out a lot if you can do so. I'm going to be back in 35 minutes with Greg to talk. Actually, no, sorry. I'm going to be back in an hour with Greg. I gave you the wrong timer. I forgot we moved it to 1 o'clock Central. So I'll be back at 1 o'clock Central to talk some So Rare with Greg. Check us out there. I did my lineup generator VOD already, so check that one out. I'm also going to be doing a So Rare VOD looking at tomorrow's slate as well. Doing a lot of So Rare prep for tomorrow's slate. I will not be on Live Before Lock because I have softball tonight. So check that out as well, though. I think Adam will be back for Deeper Dive, and then Greg and Eric will be back for Live Before Lock. So check that out as well. That is going to do it for the show this morning. Thank you all for watching, and we will catch you later.